What is up, everybody, and welcome to another ShawnSetGO video, this one on the hardcore classic side of things. Now, I don't intend to be a news channel of any sort of things, but I do think it is interesting what is happening in the classic servers, especially for those of you who aren't involved in the classic hardcore side of things. So for those of you who don't know, there's been some recent drama that is involved. I would say, I mean, you could say with a character named Sequisha, or you could say between Soda and then Summit. You could say between WoW and Sardaco, but just to avoid excessive names for those of you who aren't involved, let's just take a look at some of these comments. So the first post I saw was basically Summit1g drama thread. Now, histories between people in RP and how that works. For those of you who don't know, involved in OnlyFangs, there's a lot of people who have varying levels of skill, but a majority of them are pretty much one side of the spectrum, either entirely mega sweat in the game, or on the opposite end, totally casual. There's a lot of people on opposite ends of those, and then for those that are in the middle, even if you're in the middle and you're decent at WoW, you're probably on the casual side of things, just because hardcore is just a whole different beast. So to add more context to the situation, there was recently, I think I just closed it. Here we go. So for those of you who probably have seen one or a few posts of different perspectives, there was a few people standing basically in the arena. Garibashi Arena, for those of you don't know, is a free-for-all. You get in, you're involved. And so it started out with the punishment of Sequisha, who had been accused of basically participating outside of the guild rules, which was using the auction house. So they put him in the center of this arena here, and you can see him sort of towards the back here with the timer. My only assumption with the timer is that he had to stay in the arena for a certain amount of time. And the idea was that instead of like the guild rules stated, he would be able to have a chance to survive. But you can tell right about here when he flips out, WoW had sent his pet towards him, basically getting rid of him quite quickly. I don't know if it was a certain amount of time he had spent and nothing was happening. He's a pretty decent level. He's pretty much a hardcore veteran player. He knows what he's doing. So it was difficult to defeat him. A lot of people probably don't even reach the level he has, but obviously WoW, being the world first hardcore server for Doom Howl, it's easy peasy. Once you have a certain level gap, it is very difficult to defeat that. Not unless you have numbers, but then again, not a lot of people are willing to sacrifice their characters at the cost of it. Now, the guild rules did state previously that basically if you cheat, we're not going to make content of it. We're just going to G-kick you, because we don't want to encourage that, and we also want to maintain the sense of the guild rules and basically a sense of honor, you know, like that kind of, we stay within the guild, we don't participate in amongst the economy, because at a certain point, if you keep on participating as a streamer amongst the community, you're going to get gifts, people are going to help you out, and it's just like the integrity kind of just shakes at a certain point. So it's very understandable to basically come up with a punishment, but also a route for Sequisha to get out of this, get out of this punishment through trial by combat. It's very funny, very much just RPing in there. And if you watch any of these clips, you'll see that a lot of people were really just going crazy in it. And I think it's great content no matter what, but not everybody thought the same. This was Sardaco, the person who was, I suppose, either sending money, gifting money, but involved in this somehow, because according to post, I mean, take this for whatever grain of salt you would like to, it says, Sequisha said, I sent the gold I made from the auction house to my undead leader, that would be Sardaco, and proceeded to give that amount to him to kill me. I was betrayed by my team, my guild, and made out to be the bad guy, but sure, live in the echo chamber you live in. So that being said, you can see in this clip that they link. Let's see if I can find it here. There's like so many perspectives in this whole thing. Maybe that was the one I closed. Here it is. So in this clip here.
Listen, man, if there's one thing trolls be doing already is dying. What's different?
What is it?
So in there you can see Sardonko. I don't know if that is his main character or an off character, but you can see this is Clam Shooters. This is Sequisha's character. You can see that there's being money and items sent here, supposedly. I mean, 20 gold. There's no way, right? You know, so it's just
Sardonko. He sent it to Sardonko.
We have to defend the way alive. You see me?
But in this, Soda says basically, as long as you basically send it to me, we're gonna delete it. We're gonna get rid of it. We're not gonna make a thing of this. We're moving on, but we have to get rid of this. Like we can't let this stand. So small little update. It looks like the information I had in regards to Sequisha sending over, that might be additional. Can't necessarily prove it, but I did see this video recently that was posted super recent as well. That added a little bit more context. Basically in this video, it says we caught a cheater. OnlyFans and sent him to the arena. Basically what happened is Sequisha was posting to the auction house multiple things, multiple items, and using it as bag space, basically posting it at unreasonable prices so it would go to his mail, and from that point he would be able to kind of get it to his bank a lot easier, especially when you don't have access to that area always, but also free up that space so you can put it in your mailbox. It makes things a lot easier. But one of the guild rules was basically not using the auction house because it is participating in the community, not just for for money, but for bag space, because a big debuff in the game is not having enough bag space to fill all your things. So this was a conversation between Sodapoppin and Sequisha, and by the end of this, you can see is on his character right there. By the end of this, you can see they come to a compromise.
Hey, sorry. I just talked with Miz. He has a actually much more fun idea, Sequisha. Your fate will be determined by the server to an extent.
Miz being the part of the orc race, so it's not involved in undead or troll.
You must stand in the Gurabashi arena, let's say for 10 minutes, without being in a group. And if no one comes in and kills you, you may walk out and continue your journey.
Obviously, between this time and getting there was some agreements being made about whether Zeroji would participate, but his biggest concern obviously being that anybody can jump in and try to kill him, and anybody who does could also die too. So you could lose other guild members who try to also participate or say assist, for example. So just wanted to clear that up, but let's jump right back into the video. So in a way, if you're taking this at face value, Sardonko was involved with basically cheating outside of the guild rules, but this Sequisha character is obviously the one who's taking the fall for it. In the start of the clip, you can see right here.
Jumping in, but if Zeroji jumps in, I'm going in.
So basically, they knew, they had the inkling that Zeroji was going to step in this fight. Everyone's, of course, meeting around the Gurabashi arena, and I want to take a moment to just like, isn't this great? Like everyone's in Gurabashi arena, you know, like, isn't this great? Usually it's like just a handful of people, but everyone's there. This is crazy. It's so much fun, but also so much drama. But basically saying he's going to jump in if Zeroji jumps in. So they had already known, and according to the Discord chats that Sodapoppin had stated, that people were aware that Zeroji might step in the situation, that we weren't going to inevitably let this stand, and that at the end of this, that, you know, it's trial by combat, but we're going to make sure that consequences are noted. And so you can see in the other post that obviously this does not go well.
Not about the entire race wanting to do it. It's about not having the highest level in the server, putting in stupid fucking hours and efficiency to get there on an easy class, right? To do it as fast as possible, jumping in there and killing the guy. That's what I have a problem with.
Well, he wasn't even a mage, but I mean, I see your point that a 60 versus a 30
before
is
this
unfair.
whole AoE mage thing, what was the fastest shit? The speedrunner was running a hunter and he was doing quests, right?
No, the mage catches up once he gains AoE. No.
Well, it's got to be in the same ballpark, bro.
That doesn't.
You know
What
are you saying? That
doesn't even
What are you
matter.
saying? That Sequisha should have leveled faster and he
No,
didn't do
he
it
shouldn't have
efficient enough
fucking
so that-
cheated.
Bro,
And it sucks that he died.
So I think you can see here we're kind of missing the point. I think that Summit was coming from the perspective of he wanted to give Sequisha a fair fight, which is understandable. But given that the rules had stated that if you're going to cheat and participate outside of the guild, that they weren't going to make content of you, you're going to get G kicked. Now since then, Sequisha, people are saying that he doesn't care. People are saying that he's gone off. At a certain point, Sodapoppin went to check if he could G-kick him for actually cheating and kind of mouthing off a bit. And it turns out that I think he wasn't even in the guild anymore. So or there wasn't even a way for him to kick him. So it's kind of like in a sense all done and said for. But I mean, this kind of goes to say, I mean, you can kind of see from the mark here that this is kind of an RP break, and when it comes to RP breaks, it's a matter of there's a lot of moral decisions and a lot of moral grandstanding that can be made, but in the end all be all, it's kind of just all for fun and for sillies. Now, a lot of people might take this seriously or less seriously when it comes to hardcore characters. Yes, a lot of time was invested, especially into a level 37 character. There's a lot of time spent. Now, just because he's a veteran player doesn't mean it's less meaningful. It just means that it's easier for him to achieve that again. So it's very challenging. It's very difficult to say like what should have been done in the end all be all. I think ultimately, from my perspective, maybe it should have just been handled in the sense that, hey, we just G-kick you. We just move on. But I think it's one of those things. It's kind of like a preschool teacher telling students like, all right, if you do it again, then I'm taking it away. And then they do it again, but they're really sorry about it. So you give it to them anyway. I think it's one of those things where people will like make these it's going to be really bad if you break the rules, but they don't really know how to handle it when it happens. So I think ultimately Sequisha shouldn't have cheated. Whether he was influenced or told to do it by somebody else doesn't matter. I think that, you know, if you're standing in the right situation, you go, hey, this is happening. They're trying to get me to do this. I think you have a bit of backbone and you say something and you do something. And then additionally, you know, Summit being part of the troll side, which obviously Zeroji is also a troll, and being part of this, if you have so much issues with this, then be willing to participate in the RP and say that you disagree with this. Make it part of the RP, make it part of the fun. Don't be upset after the fact and then break immersion in an RP for everybody else and ruin everyone's RP experience. Because this was the end of this.
I don't give a fuck that there's a punishment. But a punishment that doesn't delete your character, and if it does, give the guy a fair shake. A level 60 jumping in against a 37, suck my dick.
Yeah, so it's all a talk of fairness, but in the same degree, it wasn't fair that they were participating in the auction house. It wasn't fair that they were artificially assisting their undead leader, and this was the time that they got caught, but not necessarily the first time that it happened. It could have happened beforehand, and the first week was a victory for the undead, if I remember correctly. So with that said victory, it's like how much of that is artificial, how much of that is broken. And so in a way, you do have to create a dividing line between what is allowed and what isn't allowed. So I kind of understand, even though this was a break from essentially the guild rules, and this was essentially unfair, like the most unfair thing you can do in the game, which is kill a character. It's understandable to a degree, and at least a lot of people had fun of it. At least the trolls had fun out of it. Well, I can't say the same for the undead, obviously, because they lost one of their hardcore veteran players. Seems like permanently. You know, can things be fixed? I can't say per se. I mean, if you want to check out some of the threads and see if anything additional has been said. It was kind of tough to scour some of these clips, but a lot of perspectives were added in there. I think ultimately it's all for fun, and it's not worth doing, and it's not worth griping about in the end all be all. So anyways, that's all I got for this, and for a little bit of drama from yesterday. So hope y'all enjoyed the video. Of course, if you liked it, give it a like, subscribe to the page, and of course, until next time, get you the next one. Peace.